morning, folks. Welcome back to Football First and 10. I'm your host, Gary Holden. Of course, with me is head coach Cleive Adams. Cleive, welcome.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me again this morning.
Yep. All right, so let's talk a little bit about last week first. You guys went up to Washington Lee. I was up there for the game, and couldn't ask for a better college football game. 7-1 team versus a 6-2, and I mean, two teams, six lead changes and everything. Couldn't ask for a better college game. I mean, I know we came out on the short end of that and everything. What are your thoughts overall in that game?
Well, that was a tough one for us, Gary. We went up there, and I think the game played out how I felt like it was supposed to. I know a lot of folks didn't give us a great shot in that game, but we had an unbelievable week of practice as a team collectively. OD and K felt like we had the right schemes going into the ball game, and it played out early in the game. Defensively, we felt really good about what we were doing and got a number of key stops in the first half. And we were unable to capitalize on our possessions in the first half, but felt really good going into halftime about making a few key adjustments at halftime, just as from an offensive perspective, stop shooting ourselves in the foot. We come out in the second half, and the offense catches fire, and we answer back. And I just felt like that it was one of those games that just one or two plays here and there, and it could have went either way. And I'm just super proud of our guys for fighting out there. Senior day up there in Lexington, basically a championship game, and we held our own.
Yep. And obviously, when you mention championship, they won the ODAC title with that game. They wrapped up the regular season title. They can't do any worse than first place tie.
That's right.
And the league commissioner was there, presented the trophy and everything. So it was a big moment for WNL. We want to congratulate WNL. That was a great football game. We were in that game start to finish. No doubt about it. We lead with under 2 minutes to go. They score late in the game and everything, and we just didn't have enough clock left to be able to march down the field like that. But I felt like if that had been 3 or 4 minutes left on the clock, that I felt like we would have had a chance.
Well, offensively, we had it rolling. If you look at the football game, minus the last drive that we had, the last series that we had under 2 minutes, we only had the ball 9 possessions in the ball game. And 4 of those possessions were in the second half, counting the last possession, I guess a minute and 50 seconds or something like that. But we scored in 3 of the 4. Yeah. We had a field goal in 1 possession and then 2 touchdowns. And all 3 drives were an average of 10, 11 plays. It was one of the fastest football games I played in.
I know. We couldn't believe when we were leaving how fast we were getting out of there.
Yeah, and it's just a testament. But we talked to the guys all week about the ball game, how every possession is valuable and precious. And had we flipped and played a little bit better in the first half in terms of just taking care of the things that we could control from an offensive perspective in the first half, I think the game would have played out a little bit differently. And then going down the stretch, again, WNL is one of those teams that methodically search for you. Yep. And they're patient, and they do not get off task. And they found something there going down in the second half, and we'd slow it down. But I think the key part of the game was the 1st and 20 in their final drive, and they were allowed to convert and get the first down on a QB scramble of all things with a running football team. So we had him covered, and he gets loose out there, and that hurt because we felt like at that point you get an option team at 1st and 20, you should have an opportunity to get off the field. We missed that opportunity, but hats off to those guys. They made plays going down the stretch.
Yeah, it was a great football game and everything. Nobody should be holding their heads down low or anything. So let's talk a little bit about this weekend. We're going down to Emory, Virginia. We're playing in the Crooked Road Classic, 5th annual game, but it's not the 5th annual game between these 2 schools.
That's right.
These 2 schools have played. It's Ferrum's longest-standing series. These 2 schools have played 41 times. This is the 42nd game in that series and everything. They're a strong football team. They've got some great running back and everything, decent quarterback and everything. Talk a little bit about your game plan going down there and playing them at their field. Probably a harsh environment for us.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of those games that our guys gun for and shoot for every year. And in my time here at Ferrum, it's always been a huge game for us. More times than not, it's always been an opener. But since the league changed a little bit, it's been on the back end of things. But it's still a rivalry that everyone in our locker room and everyone in this building understands completely. Not only our team and coaching staff and support staff, but our alumni body is a big deal. But in terms of going down there, we understand what we're up against. They have an explosive running attack. I think the young man is probably leading the region in terms of rushing with 2,200 or something odd yards.
Devontae Jordan.
Yes, and dynamic player just from right across the mountain here. And then the quarterback is holding his own as well. And I think they're a team that provides you with a lot of challenges in terms of defending them because they make you defend the entire football field. They're an RPO team, a run-pass option team that every run has a throw off of it, so it's a modern way of running triple option. And rather than pitch it to a running back, you throw it to a receiver, and that creates one-on-ones out there. And they have the personnel to stretch you thin. But we're excited about the opportunity defensively. We feel pretty good about what we put together in terms of trying to defend those guys. And then offensively, we feel pretty good about our guys as well. Titus Jones coming out there and leading the charge and being able to do what we do well against what they do defensively. So we're excited about it.
Traditionally, this game has meant a lot to both schools, and it's a hard-nosed, hard-hitting football game. And you've got a couple defenders out there, Billy Higgins, you've got Tanner Kennedy. They're closing out their careers and everything. Do you expect this to be one of those type games again?
Oh, yeah. Anytime we put the ball down here at Ferrum, it's going to be a physical football game, and we take pride in that. But those guys you just mentioned, Tanner Kennedy and Billy Higgins, those guys are unbelievable football players, play with unbelievable energy and physicality. For Tanner, it's almost like a homecoming for him going back to the 276. A lot of family members will be in and around. He's been super excited. Been dinged up, was unable to play in the W&L game, and that kind of hurt us a little bit. But he wanted to make sure that he was able to at least finish his final game on the field instead of watching. So I'm excited to have him back. And then Billy, of course, is just one of those dynamic players that can take over a football game when things get in rhythm for him. And then the rest of our defensive guys, they just fly around. And if we can put ourselves in the right position against this group and win our one-on-one opportunities, because that's what this game plan is all about, and that's what they force you to do is play in space and win the one-on-ones, we'll be right in it.
Well, they're a solid football team, but I know that they're saying the same thing about us coming down there. They're
that's
like,
right.
We got a solid football team in Ferrum coming down, and we better be prepared, or we're going to have some helmets put on. So,
that's right.
So we're excited about it. So folks, if you're looking at going down to see a great college football game, this is the weekend to do it. Ferrum's last game of the year. Emory, Virginia, 5th annual Crooked Road Classic. We're 2-2 in that Crooked Road Classic.
That's right.
Ferrum won the first 2.
Tiebreaker.
They've won the last 2. The trophy's going to stay somewhere because Emory Henry, now that they're moving Division II, we're probably not going to play them very often. So we're trying to get that trophy back here at Ferrum, Virginia.
Get it back here on 40 West where it belongs.
Good. Well, Coach, thanks so much for coming back to the show. Next week we'll come back. We'll follow up with this game, talk a little bit about the all-conference teams that will be coming out. Maybe we can talk a little bit about recruiting as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Gary.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for being on the show. Folks, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.